Hey, g'day legend, this is Josh here with Forward. Started to rain, unfortunately, but we committed to the video, so we're gonna go full send on this one. Today's video is about how to quit drinking and the 5 crazy things that happened to me when I did. So, most people, when they meet an Australian overseas, they think that we're all about getting fucked up, we're all about getting busted up, and it's quite a shock to a lot of people when I tell them that they don't drink. And they call, some people end up calling you a pussy, they call you a bitch, they think it's a bit strange, but quite frankly, I hate drinking. I think it's one of the stupidest acts on the planet. But I didn't always used to think that way, and so I wanted to share this video with you because I have a lot of people approach me and ask, how do I stop drinking? I want to change something in my life. I drink too much, I'm spending too much money on it, all the things that come across with it, like the hangovers, the lack of connection, the addiction, all that shit. And I personally used to be a big drinker in my teenage years. I used to sneak out of my house and go to mate's place. First time I got drunk at like 14, I sculled like a 750ml of rum. I nearly finished the whole thing, blackout drunk, eyes rolling in the back of my head. And I used to rock up to mates' places, pretty consistently with a carton of beer and a carton of premix and get proper drunk. It definitely used to be a part of my life, and thankfully I've shifted and it's not really part of my life now. So I want to share with you my experience transitioning away from that and the best things that have happened, because I know it's not easy. It was definitely super hard for me, and I lost a lot of friends, which is one of the most difficult things for a lot of people. Is how do I socialize without a drink in my hand? How do I interact with people that are in my life? How do I meet new people if I'm not, don't have that social lubricant? How do I meet girls if I don't have a bit of liquid courage? All that stuff goes through your mind, and it's definitely scary when you first start out. And so I think that's number one, is the best thing is that it changes the people that you hang out with, and therefore it changes your success. And right now I'm lucky enough to be living with one of my best friends in a beautiful penthouse in Vancouver, Canada, and I have an amazing job. I have an incredible life, and the first one being success and the people that you spend your time with has been majorly affected by the fact that I don't drink and I don't consume alcohol, and it's forced me to increase my social skills. And so what it did by not drinking and not having social lubricant is I had to just become a better communicator in general. And so when I got opportunities to spend time with people who are 10, 15, 20 years ahead of me, multi-millionaires, I was able to connect with them because I knew how to connect without alcohol. And this one, outside of the other 4, is probably big enough on its own. Like the fact that you become an efficient communicator or become good in social settings without relying on an external source like alcohol, or for other people like weed or like cocaine or like any sort of drug, it really takes you up to another level and gets you to upgrade into a different social class and get to spend time with people who are operating on a completely different spectrum. The tricky thing with that is that there is like a withdrawal phase, not necessarily just withdrawal from alcohol, but you go through this awkward phase of being like, I don't really know how the frick to talk to people. Like, what is going on here? And you continue to socialize in the same settings that you used to. Like I used to go to pubs and bars and try and socialize without alcohol while everyone else was drinking. And this is a huge mistake that I think a lot of people make, is they continue to live their life and try and avoid alcohol while having alcohol all around them. And that's just a recipe for disaster. It's like if you're trying to stop eating cookies, you don't leave the cookies in the cupboard. You take the cookies out of the house, and then you're not tempted to eat the cookies or drink the alcohol in this instance. And so number one is the fact that it epically raises your success level, because frankly you have no other choice. Number 2 is that it creates deeper connection and relationships. And this is one of my favorites, is that similar to number 1, it forces you to really go deep in yourself first to be able to connect to people at a different level. And a lot of us will work all week and then escape on the weekend to go and find the alcohol. And what it does is, instead of the weekend being this escape, you get these beautiful moments to connect with people because you're coming at it without this hangover or any of these chemicals running through your body. I mean, let's face it, the reality is that alcohol is a drug. And you wouldn't rock up to work or to meet a friend or whatever like buzzed out of your mind on like weed, I mean maybe you would, or cocaine or heroin or crack, like any of those things, and we socially accept alcohol, and just because it's everywhere and everyone does it. And the fact of the matter is it clouds our judgment, it clouds our ability to connect with people, and our body has to detox that. And so from a connection level, human to human, you get to have better relationships just by cutting this out. And I mean, shit, life is just way more fun with friends. Number 3 is it increases your mood. So similarly to number 2, with the alcohol detoxing through the liver and whatnot, like the fact that you don't have this poison that's getting flushed out by your body all the time, you have an epically better state. I mean, I quite frankly walk around 95 to 98% of my life is pretty freaking amazing. Like, I'm in a good mood most of the time. I sleep well, I'm healthy, and the result of that is that you have a good mood. Whereas when you're putting something in your body that doesn't belong there, your body's fighting it off, you're in a stressed out state. And unfortunately, you're walking around as if you're fighting something off, because quite frankly, you're fighting something off. I mean, one of the insane things about this whole COVID situation is that the bottle shops were still classed as an essential service and were still open. And they're reporting that depression rates are up because of COVID, but the fact that people have been drinking more, staying inside more, and not taking care of their bodies is what really leads to depression. It's not that COVID equals depression, it's the fact that I drink more alcohol than I usually would, I stay inside, I do less exercise, and then I get depressed. I mean, we've got the whole system wrapped around the wrong way. And like for me, as a young man, 16, 17, like I was heavily depressed. I crashed my car on my L plates, I was drinking all the time, smoking heaps of weed, stealing my brother's Ritalin to try and focus at school because I was hating my life. Like, so much is open to you outside of, drugs and alcohol. And I mean, like, I'll be quite honest, I'm not afraid of taking the occasional recreational drug, and I think alcohol, which is something that I barely touch, is the worst of the lot. So to riff off that one, number 4 is energy. Holy heck, like there is nothing worse than waking up with a hangover and being like, oh my God, like, and the day disappears, or you feel good the next day, but then 2 days later, you're a freaking zombie, you smell, nobody wants to be around you because you're a big stinky hungover mess. And now that's just not a part of my life, and that doesn't have to be a part of your life either. Like nowadays, I'm up early, going and hiking mountains, like just breathing in the fresh air, and at no point during my life do I wake up and think, oh God, like I don't want to get out of bed, and it seems like such a foreign concept if you're in that cycle of drinking and in that cycle of, using alcohol as an escape. But this can be the reality. And I think the biggest thing that threw me out of, doing like too many drugs and drinking too much alcohol and staying inside and all that shit that wasn't supporting my mood or my energy levels, was that I realized that isn't how my life has to be. And you, just like I did, have the ability to go out and change your life. You have the ability to take it by the reins, to grab hold of the steering wheel and steer it in whatever direction you do. So number 4 is energy, and it couldn't be, that was a big cracker car. This one couldn't be more exciting because it gives you the opportunity to do all the things that you want to do in life. Number 5 is what you spend your money on. Now, I didn't say save money in this instance. You can save a lot of money by not drinking, but I personally haven't saved a lot of money by not drinking. I've saved it doing other things and not doing other things. The money that I could have spent on drinking, I have spent on experiences. This was just such a no-brainer for me because I had so many things that I wanted to do that my friends weren't doing who were drinking. They weren't going out, they weren't skydiving, they weren't freediving as much, they weren't going and exploring mountains and doing all the crazy shit that you see on a freaking GoPro video, that, they were just sitting around every freaking weekend and being too drunk to drive anywhere, so we'd be stuck in our small town doing jack shit, quite frankly. And what this gives you the ability to do is, now you're sober, you can travel more, you have more energy, you're in a better mood, and you end up doing all of the sick things that you wanted to do. And now you've got the money to spend it. Like, holy heck, that's a big chunk of change that you can catch over the years to go traveling, like I said, to go skydiving, to go and like buy something like an ATV, a quad bike, a motorbike, like whatever you want. ATV and quad bike are the same thing. But whatever you want, you can now spend and divert that money in a different way. So to summarize, my dude, number one, you become more successful and you hang out with successful people. Number two, your mood changes, which, my God, what a gift, what a blessing. Number three, you get deeper connections and relationships. Number four, you get more energy. And number five, you have more money to spend on epic stuff. So mate, I really implore you to give this a crack, even if it's just for a month. Like do, you know, like Sober October or whatever coming up, like Dry July, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, put that money aside and go out and do things. Don't actually spend the time just at the pub while everyone else is drinking and you're trying to stop drinking. Like actually go out and change your environment and see what happens, because the potential is endless, you know? And if you're a casual drinker and you drink every now and then and it's not a problem, that's cool. Give it a crack anyway, see what happens. But if you're someone who really struggles, there's plenty of places out there where you can get help, like Alcoholics Anonymous. There's plenty of courses where you can, you know, learn how to stop drinking and transition with a group of people, and all sorts of stuff that will really take you down a better path to living a better life and having more moments that matter. So the ask from me to you is just to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and, you know, we put out more of these every single week to help you live that life full of meaning and catch those moments that matter.